When Caspian returned to the office, he instructed his new assistant, Kaisen, to summon Jerry.
Okay, sir.
A couple of minutes later, as Caspian paced around in his office, Jerry knocked on the door. Caspian quickly composed himself and took his seat. He didn't want Jerry to see him disoriented.
Come in. Yeah.
You asked for me, sir.
Jerry announced his entrance and stood before Caspian.
Have you heard about the diamond necklace issue?
Giving a brisk nod, Jerry replied,
Yes, and I've been informed that Win is actively looking for it, sir.
Caspian scrutinized Jerry, who was dressed in a light blue suit, an unusual outfit for a company like Leroy, but just up Jerry's alley. Caspian had known Jerry since their teenage years, and he found the man's laid-back attitude irritating.
Why is Olivia not taking control? She's the one who caused this whole mess.
Jerry, showing no emotion on his face, responded,
I'm afraid Olivia is a bit shaken at the moment. Win offered to handle it, and the last I heard, they've made some progress in locating the necklace.
Caspian couldn't stand Jerry's nonchalant attitude. It reminded him of the day his father sent his mother away and brought Jerry's mother into the house as his new wife. He still remembered the indifferent look on Jerry's face, as if he didn't care about the turmoil his presence caused. They had lived under the same roof until Caspian had finally moved out. Yes, Jerry was his stepbrother, and Caspian resented it, especially since his father had given Jerry a position at Leroy Company. No matter how good Jerry was at his job, Caspian couldn't help feeling a sense of rivalry and animosity whenever he saw him.
Win is still an intern. I suggest you call Olivia and ask her to snap out of whatever state she's in. Remind her that she has until this evening to find that necklace.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Jerry left the office, and Caspian's assistant, Kaisen, entered.
Sir, Win has just arrived at the company and is requesting to see you.
Tell her to come in.
Caspian ordered with a nod.
Did you find it?
He asked once she entered. Winnie nodded with a smile and held up her bag.
Yes, sir. Long story anyway, it fell into Gazelle's bag.
Caspian let out a sigh of relief and stood up from his desk to approach her.
Thank you, Win. This could have turned out more disastrously if it weren't for you. Gary told me you played a big role in finding it.
Win nodded and beamed a smile.
It was a team effort, sir. Everyone helped, but really, we got lucky with the CTV footage.
Caspian's eyes met hers, and though he didn't smile, he gave her a look of appreciation as he sat back down.
Thank you, Win, and sorry for all the trouble. You were at the hospital when it happened, but you were dragged into the mess.
You're welcome, Mr. Leroy.
As for Olivia, where is she?
She's on her way here. I came as soon as I found the necklace.
Caspian stood up again, walked to the door, and opened it.
Tyson, when Olivia arrives at the office, please tell her to meet me in my office.
Yes, sir.
Kaisen nodded, and Caspian re-entered the office, taking his seat.
Sir.
Win began, her tone serious.
What are you going to do with Olivia? Since the necklace was found, you won't fire her, right?
Caspian didn't respond immediately. His focus on the files spread out on the table in front of him. He had already made up his mind about what to do. To prevent a similar situation from occurring in the future, he thought it necessary to make an example out of Olivia.
Sir?
Win asked again.
If you're still considering firing Olivia, technically, the necklace didn't get lost because of her. I'm not trying to assign blame here, but Gazelle's outburst caused the necklace to end up in her bag. You can't be serious about firing her.
On the contrary, he was serious. Caspian lifted his head to look at Win, who met his gaze with determination.
It's a matter of company rules, Win. Olivia was in charge when the incident happened, and she needs to take responsibility.
Directing a strong look at Caspian, Win disagreed.
Well, if that's the case, then don't you have to take responsibility for the incident I was in? After all, you were the highest authority there, and it happened under your watch.
Win knew she was reaching here, and she was probably going to get fired in the process of trying to get Olivia to keep her job, but it was a risk she was willing to take. Caspian pushed his chair back and stood up. He was a few inches taller than Win, so he towered over her even when she was standing.
Are you sure you want to say that? I might remind you that you jumped in to save me of your indecision.
Well, I did, but it wasn't like Olivia was directly involved in all of this.
At this, Caspian shot her a questioning look.
Sure, she could have checked on the necklace at the end of the shoot, but at the end of the day, the stylist and her assistants were the ones who were more involved.
An eyebrow lifted in question.
Oh, are you saying I should fire the stylist and her assistants?
No.
That was not what she was saying. Winnan almost laughed out of frustration. In her bid to save Olivia's job, she was really going to get herself as well as other people fired.
No, sir. What I'm saying is, maybe you're being too harsh on Olivia. Getting fired from a company like Leroy because of such an issue, it's going to be hard to get a job elsewhere. Please take that into consideration.
Caspian contemplated her words. She made a valid point, but he couldn't simply let Olivia off without consequences.
Sir,
Kaisen's head appeared at the door.
Miss Olivia is here.
Have a seat.
Caspian told Win as Olivia entered the room.
Mr. Leroy, sir.
Caspian cut off Olivia.
According to company rules, you should be fired.
Mr. Leroy.
But Win has given me some reasons to reconsider. Olivia, you are on probation for the time being.
Olivia nodded, tears filling her eyes.
Thank you, sir.
You will resume your work as usual, but understand that if anything remotely similar happens again, you will lose your job.
Olivia nodded again.
Yes, sir. I understand.
Then she turned to Win, her eyes filled with gratitude.
Thank you so much, Win.
Caspian, seeing that Olivia was on the verge of tears, dismissed them.
Now get back to work.
A few days after the necklace incident, things had returned to normal at Leroy Company. That is until a video of Giselle kissing an unknown man surfaced on the internet. Speculation ran around the office.
Who do you think it is? You know, a couple of days ago, there were some rumors about Giselle dating the CEO. I think it's him.
Michelle was saying to Jean, and the two of them giggled like it was the funniest thing in the world.
You think so? Mr. Leroy is a bit stuck up. I don't think he's the one.
Edward added, and the two women turned to glare at him.
We weren't talking to you, Edward.
They giggled again, but scattered when Olivia showed up.
Get back to work and stop gossiping about the boss.
She said to the trio, then faced Anna.
Where's Win?
She went to deliver something to Swan in the planning department.
All right, Anna.
Olivia said and walked back to her desk. Ever since the necklace issue, her attitude toward Win had changed. When Win returned to the design department office, Anna rolled her chair over to her desk.
Have you seen the news?
Win tilted her head in confusion and shook her head.
What news?
Anna brought out her phone and pulled up a video.
Wait.
Win observed as she watched the video.
Isn't that Gazelle?
Anna bobbed her head, an excited smile appearing on her face.
And the man?
Mr. Leroy.
Anna whispered as if she were sharing a dangerous secret.
What?
Win shot up in her chair, but Anna dragged her back down.
Nobody's sure, but who else could it be? Remember, there were some rumors about them being an item. And don't you think it's a bit suspicious that Gazelle was used as the model for the latest collection?
No.
Win shook her head. Nothing had been confirmed, so she wasn't going to believe it.
It's all baseless gossip.
Anna raised her hands in surrender but laughed.
If you say so, maybe, but I think it's him, and so do a lot of other people.
While Win tried to wrap her mind around the news she had just heard, Caspian was meeting with Gazelle in his office with Kaisen present.
The man in that video, do you have something serious going on with him?
Caspian's mind raced as he considered his next move. Giselle shook her head and crossed her legs.
He's my ex-boyfriend, but I only ran into him by chance that day. I didn't realize the paparazzi were following me.
Luckily, they didn't capture his face.
Caspian nodded slowly and turned to Kaisen.
I think now is the perfect time to announce that Giselle and I are dating. Arrange for a press conference with the major news stations. All right.
When, sir?
Immediately.
There was no use wasting time when an opportunity presented itself.
All right, sir.
Kaisen walked out of the office, leaving Caspian and Giselle alone. Caspian still needed reassurance.
Be sure the man in that video won't cause any trouble.
A slow smile appeared on Giselle's face as she responded.
I'm sure. He's an ex, and I know he wouldn't like his face plastered all over the news.
In the next 2 hours, they were seated in front of a group of reporters, cameras flashing as shouts of Caspian's and Giselle's names filled the air.
We'll answer as many questions as we can, but let me start by confirming that the man in the video is indeed me. Giselle and I originally intended to keep our relationship a secret despite the rumors, but we've decided to be open with the public. We're still in the early stages of our relationship, and we would appreciate it if the public could be respectful of our relationship.
Question for Gazelle.
a reporter in the crowd shouted, and with an excited smile, Giselle gestured for her to proceed.
Are you dating Caspian because he can help with your career?
Giselle made an O shape with her mouth and looked at Caspian with a laugh.
In a relationship, there's always give and take, right? If I fall in love with someone who can help me with my career, is that wrong? Next question.
Caspian, do you love Giselle?
Caspian didn't say anything in response. Instead, he let go of Giselle's hand and reached into his pocket, producing a box. From the box, he took out a diamond necklace and placed it around Giselle's neck.
Does that answer your question?
Giselle's mouth fell open in surprise. She hadn't known about this. Caspian sat back down and faced the reporters.
Next question.
After they had already addressed numerous questions, Caspian's smile was starting to waver, and he was ready for it to be over.
We'll answer one last question.
Question for Caspian. How has your father, Samuel Leroy, the owner of Leroy Company, reacted to the news?
The smile fell from Caspian's face, and he locked eyes with the reporter who had posed the question.
Well, he's finding out about it the same way everyone else is through this press conference, so I can't say.
This response triggered an eruption of even more questions from the reporter.
How do you think he's going to take the news? Will you be stepping down from the position of CEO?
Caspian waved his hand dismissively.
That'll be all.
He then helped Giselle to her feet, and the two of them, accompanied by hired bodyguards, made their way to the waiting car. Kyson was already inside.
Sir, your father has been calling.
Caspian let out an exasperated sigh. He didn't want to deal with his father's questions at the moment. Whatever Samuel Leroy had to say could wait.
How are the preparations for the after party coming along?
Wynne was distraught. Watching the press conference and seeing Caspian confirm his relationship with Giselle made her want to pack up her things, go home, and sleep for a week. But she couldn't even do that. Today was the after party for the ad, and Olivia had asked Wynne to be present. She considered just calling it a day and ignoring her, but they were still trying to get along with each other, and Wynne didn't want to mess that up.
Wynne, you're going to the production after party, right?
Yes, Anna, I have to. Come with me. You can bring Luke along.
If Wynne had to endure a night of Caspian and Giselle possibly acting all lovey-dovey, it would be a little less painful if she had her friend by her side.
Please.
She directed sad eyes at Anna.
Sorry, Wynne.
Anna indeed did sound sorry.
Luke.
She pointed at her boyfriend who had his head bent as he worked at his desk, a floppy head of hair over his eyes that made Wynne wonder how he could see.
He's taking me out to dinner tonight. It's our 2nd anniversary.
She beamed, happiness showing in her eyes.
Oh, congratulations. You should definitely enjoy your night with your boyfriend. I'll just stick with Olivia.
Anna swatted Wynne's arm playfully.
Try to have fun.
Wynne doubted that was going to happen, but she gave her friend a smile and nodded.
Wynne, are you ready to go?
Wynne looked up to see Olivia looking at her eagerly.
I'll be dropping Michelle and Jean along the way. Is that okay with you?
Michelle, who had red hair Wynne's first week here, had now dyed her hair blonde, while Jean was still rocking 2 buns.
It's fine.
Although Wynne still didn't talk to them like she did Anna and now, Olivia, they had become more bearing toward her. Maybe because of Olivia, Wynne wasn't sure. When they got into Olivia's car, Wynne confirmed that the woman hadn't really been trying to kill her the other day and she was just a reckless driver. After they dropped off Michelle and Jean, they headed to the location where the production after party was being held. The party had already started, and the director was on the stage giving his thank you speech. Wynne looked around, waving at the familiar faces that she had met during the ad shoot. Her eyes scanned the room, searching for, but not finding one person in particular.
With that said, I would like to call on the person who made this all possible, CEO Caspian Leroy.
The room erupted in applause and cheers as Caspian came out of a hidden corner of the room and walked onto the stage. No wonder she hadn't seen him.
Thank you all for coming tonight.
Caspian began his speech.
I acknowledge the effort of everyone who worked hard for the ad to be successful. I especially want to thank Miss Wynne.
He stretched out a hand to Wynne, and the rest of the room turned to look at her.
Unfortunately, she got injured on the set, but that didn't put her off. I think we can all agree that she deserves a round of applause.
Everyone in the room clapped, and Wynne looked around, trying to smile at everyone. Later that night, Caspian asked Wynne for a dance, and her first reaction was to look around for Giselle. The other woman was dancing with the videographer.
I'd love to.
After they had danced for a couple of minutes, Caspian said something surprising.
Oh, you're everywhere.
He didn't laugh, but his eyes were dancing as they watched Win, and it made her tummy flutter.
What do you mean?
I mean it in a good way.
He said but didn't elaborate, leaving Win to think up a million reasons why he would have said that.
I can't remember if I said this sincerely, but thank you for saving me, Threes.
Thrice?
Win could only recall 2 times, with the lights and the necklace.
When was the third?
It was the second, but filling in for Giselle with the kiss scene.
Win's mouth rounded into an OG. How had she forgotten about that?
Well, since you saved me once back at the pub, you owe me.
Win didn't know if it showed on her face, but her insides were swinging around, and it took all she had not to run out of there.
Caspian?
What was she doing? Why was she still talking?
Yes.
His eyes flew up to meet hers. Abort, Win. Stop before you shoot yourself in the foot. Stop. You're going to embarrass yourself. He just announced his relationship today.
I like you, Caspian.
She felt him freeze.